everybody. It's time for another episode of Couch Stories. That's right. This is the version of the Chicago 60 where we talk to the guests that we just had on the podcast. And do we have an amazing person to talk to tonight? We have the wonderfully talented, hysterically accurate, and observationally historical funny man of all funny men, Chicago and born and bred. This guy right here, we got St. James. St. James, hello, sir.
How you doing, sir?
I am doing quite well. How are you?
I'm doing really well, actually.
Excellent. Now, this gentleman here, we just had on the podcast. He hosts the Young Hustle Show at the Laugh Factory now twice a month. That's bi-monthly. Yep. Which is congratulations to you,
Thank
sir.
you so
Cheers
much.
to you for that accomplishment. That is phenomenal. For all of you who are not in the comedy game, that means that the show is so good that they're like, hey, can you do another one a month? And he's like, that's right, motherfucker.
They're like, hey, can you do it twice a year now? I mean, twice as many times as last year. We're like, yeah, we'll try. We'll do it a little bit more for you.
Exactly, and it's because he's hysterical, and you should all follow him.
You're being too kind. I am okay.
I don't think I'm being kind enough. Let me just say, but it is wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to get to know you a little bit better, and I'm excited for everybody else to get to know you a little bit better. Did you enjoy being on the podcast?
I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Fantastic. That is my one way of getting gratification right off the bat. It's my easy way of getting some self-ego. No, but that's good. That was really actually a really fun conversation.
I loved every second of it. It was good, and I felt the good thing about, because some podcasts, maybe rightfully so, because we're in this generation where, like, I can't really be myself. And I'm not a bad guy. I don't anything like the podcast is a prime example. Like, I'm gonna say some real stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe step on a few toes, but I'm never gonna go out my way to cut anybody down. But I got some real opinions.
Right.
And sometimes I'm not always able to say it. So I enjoyed your podcast for letting me be able to say what I want to say.
Well, that's good. That's exactly what we want on the podcast, is for comedians, artists, musicians, entrepreneurs, business people in Chicago to be able to come on, say who they are, have honest conversations about real topics that relate to our wonderful city, and just be themselves, because there's just so much going on today where it's like you got to be careful about what you say and stuff. I was like, no, this is a country and this is a city that has been built on hard work, build yourself up from your bootstraps, and say what the fuck you mean, and go do what you say you're going to do. And you're one of those types of people. You do what you say you do, and you're fucking hilarious. I really enjoy watching all your stuff on Instagram and all your stuff on Facebook, your comedy videos I've seen. And I'm super excited to come to your show. I know it's going to – actually, now that it's bi-monthly, we might actually be able to make it in February. So I'll let you know. I didn't know that. So February we'll talk after this, but we'll coordinate. The whole C60 crew is going, so why wouldn't you? Yeah, Jim Oaks. I'm kidding. We love all of our viewers. So St. James, let's get into this. This whole segment is just I want to know who you are, man. So the people want to know. You were just on. We had you on because you're an important guy, obviously. But let's get to know the real St. James.
Oh, man.
Oh, shit.
I'm ready.
Therapy session. Just kidding. So tell us.
I have a lot.
Yeah, right. Well, so I bet we could have a really good conversation going back and forth with that. But let's start with some easy stuff. So tell us, where do you hail from, good sir? What's your background?
That's interesting. I'm from Chicago most of my life. More at this point, definitely most of my life. I was raised in Stone Mountain, Georgia, so I spent up until 18, 9 years in Chicago and 9 years in Georgia. So I'm like
down in the South.
Yeah, I'm like you
real
can
South.
Kind of hear it from the way I talk. Just a country city type boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I have family that's my grandfather's from Savannah, Georgia. So you been there?
Yeah,
I haven't been there actually, but I've been to ATL.
I've been like most of the places, but the weird thing about it was at that weird time frame. I was also poor, so we didn't go out a lot. Where like I remember some of it, but I don't have like a good like foundation of like, Savannah, that's where blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's like,
right.
You know,
right. Yeah, understood. And then you moved back. When did you move back to Chicago?
High school. About 13.
Gotcha.
13 going on 14, I'm going to say.
Interesting. So let me ask you this. What was it like coming were you born? You were born in Chicago,
here,
then moved? Okay.
So I'm going to say I was born here and I left for Georgia around, I want to say 5.
Okay, gotcha.
Maybe 4 or 5. Definitely 4 to 6. I want to say about 5. Though,
gotcha. So really, like your young
4.
childhood, in the South, and now you're coming to like your formative years, and you're back in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would like to know what that transition was like for you. What was that like?
It was, man. I mean, I got a very interesting. I mean, I guess that's why we're doing this.
Yes.
I have a very interesting childhood where, so when I was in the South, I grew up really poor, like very poor.
Sure.
And then I came back up here, and my dad was doing well. Now he was doing like black well. So he was never middle class. He's never middle class. But what he did is he found a nice little cheap studio.
This is like the Dave Chappelle joke where he's like, with DC's like, I mean, I wasn't poor, but compared to the white folks.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean.
Exactly. Prime example.
Oh,
So he
all right.
lived in this little studio. He found this little I'm gonna say Section 8 studio, and he had this little hustle. Don't want to say it, but had a little hustle.
For sure.
So he always had a decent amount of money on him.
Yeah.
And so I came to that, and it was like, so I came up here the summer of freshman year. I spent a lot of time with my father. Also, my father wasn't in my life. I was in Georgia. So first year back was like, it was game changer for me because like my dad had money. I was comfortable. He was also a man. And as a young boy, you want a man in your life to know what to do.
Yep.
And then on top of that, he sent me to Lincoln Park, where in Georgia I had a lot of white friends, but it wasn't really that close. In Lincoln Park, I started to become good friends with a lot of these white people and black people, but white people for the point of the story.
Sure.
And I remember I went over to one of my friend's house, and like I'm never gonna forget this. Like he's a Jewish guy. Doing well. His mom owned a hair shop. Doing well. Lived in by Zanies.
Sure.
I remember walking to his house, taking me upstairs, and I walked in this room, and I seen this big black thing, and I kind of got scared because he had like a black lab, right?
Oh.
So I walked in the room, and I seen this big black thing. I got scared because I thought it was his dog. It was just his gaming computer. He had this $3,000 gaming computer. 13, same age as me, and I couldn't even wrap my mind around this. That
wow.
I'm like, you have a $3,000 gaming computer just for having it. And to be fair, he was a child actor, so he made the money.
Okay.
So it wasn't his parents' bother. But even there, I couldn't even wrap my mind around having that type of money, and then my parents not just taking it from me. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like somebody gotta pay these bills. You pay the bills. No. Somebody gotta pay the bills. It's gonna be you.
Yeah.
So that experience really changed. I think that experience, I got millions of it in high school. Like kind of made me who I am. I'm like, oh, it's a better life. And let me also say this: when I was in Georgia, I was extremely happy. Was not sad. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Sure.
Because that's all I knew. So I'm not saying this to say, oh, being poor. No, I had a great time. But coming to Chicago, being with my father when he had a few dollars, then hanging out with all these white people who had a lot of money, I was like, oh, there's another side to this. It's not, oh, I'm always worrying about my bills. No, you can have fun. You can do other things. And then, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Am I rambling?
No. This is what this is what this is about.
Okay.
I want people to know. I got a question already prepped for you about this whole thing. Let's go, man.
Okay,
tell us as much as you are comfortable with saying.
Thank you. If I'm talking too much, just tap me.
Okay, I'll tap you. Because normally that's what I tell people to do to me. So I feel like we're one in the same vein here. I can't shut the fuck up. So
I don't agree with that statement. I think you're perfect.
Thank you. Oh, wow.
So I came to Chicago. I kind of got to taste the money. And then after Chicago, I don't want to jump too far. I mean, after the freshman year, my father still being my father, a complete dick, kicked me out and moved me to my grandma's house. And my grandma was also doing well, where she didn't have any worries. So my biggest thing was in Georgia, I was a trouble kid. We didn't have money. I was always in trouble. I was always doing something. And I came to Chicago. I did lack the want for money and the things that money brings, just the basic things, bills, food, all that kind of went away.
Right.
So I got to relax in a way that I wasn't able to, and able to really think about what I wanted to do. And that really changed my life, completely changed my life.
Now, that's interesting. So that's almost a great segue from my question is, so did your enthusiasm and desire to want to do comedy come when you moved to Chicago and you started to have these feelings? Is that, or did you have something else that you first wanted to do, and then comedy came out of nowhere? How did wanting to do comedy manifest for you?
Great question. So it's weird because this is my tonight's show spill, but I give it to you.
Okay. I'm honored. This is great. One day I'll be hosting the Tonight Show, and I'll have you on when you're a famous fucking comedian, and we'll rehash all this shit. And I'll be like, you fucking people didn't listen to this shit on the Chicago 60 on my show? Yo, man, this is old news, son.
Hot.
What's up?
I love it.
Continue, please.
No. So I grew up poor in Georgia. So my mom used to work these crazy hours. And in the summer, it's the summer, so I didn't have to go to school. So my mom used to, real quick, we used to steal cable from the Mexicans beside us. Don't know how to do it. But in Georgia, I think the cable wires run through the ground.
Yeah.
So my stepfather was not mechanic, whatever you call them people who like electrician.
Yeah,
so he knew. He just, I think he used to just, I think
a great profession, I'll just add.
Oh, for sure.
Kids learn, do that.
For sure.
Need people like that, they're running out.
Oh, for sure. And
we're running out of electricians.
I don't know.
It pays a lot of money, by the way.
It does. I don't know but for some reason he never had a job, but it does pay a lot. It's probably a him thing. It wasn't the occupation. It was definitely a him thing. So I don't know if it's like he would walk over and just like cut wires, or I think because it was like a complex. I think maybe all the cable back then, even still today, was like all running through one thing. So
Sure.
So point being, we used to steal cable from the Hispanic people beside us. Like I went from Mexican to Hispanic.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So
my mom used to leave me, and I can't remember well enough if they wasn't dating at the time or if he left too. He was in and out of my life a lot. But point being, we had cable because of him. My mom used to leave me, and I used to just watch Comedy Central all day by myself. At like 8, 9, I used to watch these comedians do the acts, and I used to just like want to be that, but never thought it was gonna happen. Just a kid, anything I watched as a kid, I wanted to do. So lucky enough to stand up. So I'm like, oh, and then I remember this very well. I remember watching like Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, and going back in like 7th grade and 8th grade, and getting on the bus the first day, and like just murdering with just Chris Rock jokes and Dave Chappelle jokes, and people like, what the, just crushing it.
That was the spark.
Oh,
Getting people to laugh. That's always a spark. Yeah.
So, and I've always been a class clown. So
Same. It's a great feeling.
Amazing feeling. I love it. I wouldn't change it today.
Yeah.
And even then, never really considered stand-up comedy. So I think what really sparked is it came to Chicago, went to Lincoln Park, which is, it's not an art school, but it is kind of it's a very artsy school, but it's not an art school. But it's very on the line. We had a really good band program. I was always in band, and we had a really
what
good
instrument? A quick aside.
The instrument I love the most, I played saxophone for 3 years. I played trumpet for a year, and then I played trombone. And
alto sax.
I love it. I want to pick it back up. I'm kind of scared.
Someone stole my goddamn alto sax out of my back of my trunk.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
How long did you play?
Like 4 or 5 years. I stopped like sophomore, junior year of high school. Once it got serious, once they were like, you got to start getting in a marching band. I'm like, nah, I'm not putting that shit on my face. I'm not wearing those goofy outfits.
That's so funny.
Put me in jazz band. That's my style. Did you play? Were you in jazz band at all?
I wanted to. I was probably gonna be in the senior year, but I got kicked out of band that year.
Fuck.
Band. This is a funny story. Maybe I can go into it real quick.
Yes, sure.
Band class was really good for me. Looking back at it, because I loved it. It was the only thing I took seriously. Quote on seriously. Cause I didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
I didn't take anything in high school seriously.
As you should.
And I got to so we had 4 levels. We had a really good band class. I was like in advanced band, and the next level was whatever the next level was, senior band, whatever the last thing was. And I remember junior year we had to go play for state, and I got a really good grade. And my band teacher, who didn't dislike me but kind of wasn't a big fan of me because I was a fuckboy, was fuckboy's the wrong thing. I wasn't a fuckboy. I wasn't like,
bro. Hey,
that was a bad way.
For sure.
I just wasn't
Preach,
a great
brother,
student.
preach.
I wasn't a great student, but so she I wasn't gonna advance you to the next level because you got a good grade. At least I know you're good and you're trying right on what I state, whatever the state I don't remember, whatever our state conference was for band class.
Yeah.
So she I'm gonna pass you to it. And I think the last month of high school, I for some reason decided to skip every day of band class for 2 weeks. And she's and she pulled me to the side. She's I wanted to pass you so bad, but I'm not, because cause you obviously don't give a fuck. So she ended up dropping me from band class. And up until that point in my life, that was a metaphor for my life. half-ass everything, be super talented, and find a way to fuck myself out of something. So that happened. That was just a riff.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
And to your thing, I went to Lincoln Park. Back to the last thing.
Right.
I
I took us on a tangent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it was a good tangent.
Thank you. And then went to Lincoln Park. It's an artsy school.
Yeah.
I was in band class, and all my friends were like musicians and poetry, but like did poetry, poets. That's what I'm saying. I'm just tired. So I never really had anything except for band, but like trombone, I never was like, oh, I play trombone. You know, not a brag about. All my friends were like playing guitar and singing, like something like you brag about.
Guitar gets all the girls.
Oh, for sure.
Fuck that.
So I think when I was in high school, I think that's when Kevin Hart was starting to blow up. And I think that's kind of what really pushed me over the edge. I was like, man, I want to be artsy. I wanted to have something to brag about because, you know, I'm a man. I mean, I wanted to be able to say something.
Like, gotta get that puss.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
I mean, that's truthful. I mean, now in high school, I wasn't having sex, but in the back, man, you always want something to brag about.
You just want the attention. You want to be like, girl, it's like me.
And I was always the funniest kid in my class. I was super funny. Everybody thought you should do comedy.
100%.
Yeah, so... So Kevin Hart's blowing up. I'm seeing this guy blow up who I'm like, I can relate to him. Small black guy, insecure.
Wait, sorry. I'm going to ask this question. So you're at a white school in Lincoln Park, mostly?
It was pretty diverse, but definitely more white people.
Okay, gotcha. So
pretty diverse.
They weren't just like, hey, our black friend. You're like, Kevin Hart, what's up? They weren't giving you that shit, were they?
No, they wasn't doing
because at my high school, I went to a Catholic prep school, and like, the black guys in our school were like more white than the white kids. It was bizarre. That was like, like the white kids tried to act more thug, and I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, it was bizarre. But anyway, sorry.
No, sorry. I get that. No, it was Lincoln Park for sure was diverse. Probably like 30% black people, probably like 10 to 50% Hispanic people, and then like about 10% Asian people, because we had the IB program, which I forgot what that stands for, but we had an IB program, which is like AP on crack, and then the rest was probably white people. And it's also Lincoln Park.
But it was the Kevin Hart kind of getting there, so that was when you were really like, oh, okay.
So he was blowing up. I was a huge fan of him, and I went to art school, and so I was already thinking, like, what was my angle?
Sure.
And I was funny, so it almost naturally, and then on top of that, I've always loved comedy, because once again, I was a kid, I was watching it all the time during the summer. That's all I did for my summers is watch stand-up. So it was all coming together, and then what really made it connect was senior year, they ended up having, like, a talent show at my high school, and I was a senior, I was really popular, I was doing okay in school. I was like, it just made sense. I was like, man, why not just try it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At this point, I think people geeked my head up like all junior year. People like, oh, you can be Kevin Hart, blah, blah. I was thinking about it. So, like, a talent show, try it. And I ended up doing my talent show. And that was my first time, like, doing comedy. But this is how crazy this shit was. Before I even did the talent show, my teachers used to let me go up at the end of my class to practice my routine for my talent show. So I was like doing comedy in high school kind of, and then did the talent show. That went really well. Maybe, I mean, in contests it did. Looking back, it probably wasn't the best set. But, you know, your first time doing it. Get this. Right. Not to brag, but I'm going to brag a little bit.
Brag?
It's high school. So
this is why you should see this man. He was fucking hilarious.
I mean, it was high school.
First show ever.
It doesn't matter. But I was really popular, and we did in the auditorium. It seats like 300 people. I was that popular that 300 people, not to just see me, but I probably I think majority of the school came out to see me do comedy for the first time. So they didn't sell it. I don't think they were selling tickets, but they sold out.
It was like a equivalent to like a sold out.
300 plus people there.
In an auditorium.
Did comedy, did well. I'm never going to forget this. Probably one of the greatest moments of my life. At least top 5 of them to now. My principal, who did not like me, once again, I cannot express how bad I was as a student at Lincoln Park. They did not enjoy me. My principal, who did not like me, came up to me, and I'll never forget, he said, my daughters, 2 young girls, my daughters said you was the best part of the show. And he shook my hand and said, good job, or congrats. And I hooked after that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, low-key kind of sounds dope. It happened just like that.
But yeah, by the way, I'm not going to get into the minds of principals or any of this type of shit, but normally those type of situations, because I had not a similar experience, but I can tell you, I'll share a tad bit about myself here. I also was like an extremely talented student in high school, but like
I believe
I remember my story, or my mom telling me a story where she was saying she went up to one of my English teachers, and my English teacher told my mom, because my mom's also in education, and she was like, Justin should be the top student in this class. All the stuff he makes everybody laugh. He's extremely creative. His papers are all really good. But sometimes, and she like apparently opened up the grade book, and I had everything from A's down to D's because like some projects I just would just not give a fuck, or I'd forget something. But then when I really applied myself, it was always top notch shit, and so I totally get that. And there are moments where people like teachers or principals, whatever, they see the talent in somebody, and they're just like, oh, this fucking kid would just fucking get their shit together. So it's kind of like one of those situations, which is – so that's probably all that was, by the way, just an FYI. At least that's what I think, because I know you to be extremely talented, so that is my guess.
And lucky enough – I mean, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Maybe – I don't know if I'm talented or just work really hard. But, I mean –
that's also good.
Yeah, I think – I mean, and the crazy thing about it, a lot of us is a lot – because here's the thing. I do think I would be doing stand-up comedy no matter what school I would have went to. But I really feel for a fact if I didn't go to Lincoln Park, I wouldn't have started as earlier. I think if I went to any other school, and if I even tried harder at school, I would have probably went to college first. Like, and then maybe in college, like most people, you know, you go to open mic night, you're like, oh, maybe I can try this. But it was something about Lincoln Park. It was something about having friends who were all musicians. It was something about Kevin Hart at that time. It was something about also having some. I just also had a lot of good friends who like I thought about it. I thought about it all through high school, not about doing it. And I've told people, and the good thing about having white people as friends is white people always trying to tell you.
We have a purpose.
No, I was not even purpose. Y'all are really good about telling people to go try their dream.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because we realize we'll never do it, so we want other people to do it.
But to be fair, you know what it is? I think it is. I think it's it is something about, and not black people in general, but some black people, or not even some black people, just some. I think, to be fair, I have a lot of my black friends are just as funny, if not funnier than me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
In Lincoln Park, I probably was hands down the funniest guy. I wasn't the only black person there, but I was probably the funniest. Because like they had no reason not to tell me. But if I'm hanging out with a bunch of black guys who are just as funny, like, you doing that, nigga? You can't do comedy. I can do comedy. So it might have been that dynamic. It was like, you're not that funny.
Right.
Around them, I'm saying I'm funnier, but I'm probably the funniest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, why not try?
Right.
And that was the thing about that. I don't know. It was a lot. It's just a lot because it goes even back to the thing about my Jewish friend. The freshman year, I'm like, a little bit of my mindset was, how do I get that? And you're not stupid. You see somebody like Kevin Hart killing it, and comedy comes money and success. I'm like, maybe that might be my path too. So a little bit of that's like, what is my angle? And at the time, my only angle was comedy because I wasn't doing well in school. And not because I couldn't. I could have. I just didn't care. And nobody made me care. So everything worked out together.
I also believe that there are moments like that, and certain things happen. I know from moments in my own life in college and things that situations were put in place that made you go in a certain direction, and your journey leads you to where you're eventually supposed to go. I didn't, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, shit, I wish I had been doing this like 5 years ago. I love doing this. But 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ago, I wasn't even thinking about this at all. It was like a certain things of events. And the big catalyst for me was one Christmas, my roommates at the time bought me a class for Christmas to go to Second City to take a class. I was like, holy shit. And then I ended up finally signing up around my birthday. Like, I'll never forget that. That was probably the best Christmas gift I've ever received because now here we are, right? So that was that catalyst moment. So those things happen.
Oh, for sure.
It's
and
crazy.
If it makes you feel better, I don't know if you know Maddie Weiner.
I've not heard of him.
Her. You're fine.
Well, I don't know,
Super funny person. She's like 22. She's at the Comedy Cellar. She's opening up for Nikki Glazer.
Oh, okay.
Super funny. Funny.
Sure.
And she started at 14, 15. Yeah. 15, 16, I think.
Crazy.
So, and I see her, and I'm 23, and a lot of people, most of my friends who are in comedy are like, at least 25 and up looking at me like, I wish I was you. Not because I'm that funny, just because I started at a young age.
Sure.
And, stuff that comes out.
I can attest to that, yeah.
So I look at Maddie Weiner, who's 21, started at 14. I'm like, God damn, why didn't I start at 14? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So, it's
Dave
always
Chappelle
like,
started young. A lot of these people start super young. You don't even know.
Exactly.
It takes a long time.
Exactly.
Like for stand up, I'd say it takes. I think some people have said it takes at least a decade.
And I don't disagree with that statement. I think
At least minimum 5 years.
I mean,
you got to work out your shit.
Only person who's broke that record of like dropping something really good in comedy, which is like a special. We're talking like stand up, so we're assuming a special. Only person that broke that mode is Eddie Murphy. And even to Eddie Murphy's, even to be realistic, Eddie Murphy started at 14, 15.
Yeah.
He dropped his special at 22. I mean, even though that's still a pretty good turnaround, that's still 7-8 years.
Yeah, it is.
And that's not minimal. And he's the best person. Everybody else, I think Dave Chappelle dropped his first special at what, 26? I don't know. You got to check me. I think it's 26. Do you know? 24? I think it's 26, I'm pretty sure. And Dave started at 14. Remember. So if it's 26, that's still 12 years.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
I think it might be 24. I'm not sure.
Your outlook on life as you get old, everything, perspectives, all those things change. So it takes time to craft what you're doing.
Exactly. And it's just, for some reason, people don't understand. It's hard to craft a good joke. It just is. I was looking at my act the other day, and I was like, if I'm being honest, I'm looking at my act. I'm like, I probably got like 25 great minutes of not even great minutes in the sense of 25 minutes I could do anyway. There's 25 minutes of, if I'm at a comedy club, these are my best minutes that are probably gonna do well. I'm kind of an edgy comedian. I'm not super edgy, but I do a few things where it's gonna turn
jokes.
It's gonna turn a few people off.
That's what the shit I like.
I got a few of them but that's kind of what my comedy is a little bit. So with that considered, I got like 25 good minutes. And I've been doing comedy for like 5 years. That's 20. If any normal person like 25 for 5 years, think you have 4 or 5 hours or something like that.
No, it takes a long time.
A lot of time. But for somebody who's doing comedy who understands it, I don't know if that's a good time, but I think most people understand it.
People, I understand it. People who do comedy, I mean, dude, that's why I stopped doing stand-up for a variety of reasons. One is because I wanted to focus on some other things like filmmaking and some other things I want to do. So I stopped. I was like, I could maybe do stand-up, but the amount of time, I was like, it's not. I just want to focus on some other stuff. But, I mean, I'll tell you a very quick story, and then I want to ask you another question. But my company that I work for now, my 9 to 5, they all know I do comedy.
I love what you're doing to hair. Underrated hair right now. Underrated.
Yo, everybody, when I worked at a bar, they literally all rated me the top best hair.
Oh, really good. How about that? Underrated.
I'm like, all right, I got blessed with good hair. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, ladies. But fuck. But I got at my company, my CEO at our holiday party just comes over and he's like, "You're going to perform." I was like, "Thanks for telling me ahead of time." So I improv a whole thing where I show everybody what a Monday morning meeting is like. It's on video. Eventually, I'm gonna snag the video and put it up on my personal page. Cause it's pretty decent. I mean, most people may not get the joke, so they don't know who the people are. But it's my stuff. But after that, people are like, "Oh my God, that was so funny." Because can you attest to this real quick? When you're on stage, sometimes you have no idea. Like, I mean, yes, with stand-up, you can kind of tell with lots of laughs and stuff. But sometimes there are moments where you're really crushing it, but you're not getting the ha-ha-has. Or people are just, like, super enjoying what you're doing.
100%.
That's what happened in this case. I couldn't really – because you're in the moment. You're doing your stuff. And I couldn't – and a lot of people – it wasn't like a comedy club where everybody's kind of close. They were all, like, at tables and stuff. So I couldn't see if people were laughing. And I'm moving chairs around and, like, doing stuff, right? So I couldn't tell. Afterwards, one of my coworkers goes, "Can you just – you're super hilarious, man. Like, you could totally do stand-up. Can you just do an hour special?" I'm like, "Bro, do you know how long it would take to get a solid hour?"
For sure.
Fuck a dog, dude. Fuck that.
For sure.
No. I'm not doing that shit. Watch my comedy videos on Chicago 60 YouTube page. Plug. Anyway.
So exactly. I think, well, we don't have to say it. We know it. But, even look at the best. Chris Rock is a great example because he drops quality comedy specials. And he drops quality comedy specials every 4 years. Chris Rock takes huge gaps. 4 years. Bill Burr is another example. Everything he drops quality. 3 years. 2-year gap.
Because he perfects it. He makes sure it's good.
And that's a guy who's at the top of the game. He's taking 3 years. What do you think a guy who is not somebody who's trying to get there?
Right.
Of course it's going to take us. If it takes him 3 years, at least it's going to have to take us 6 years. Wouldn't it be double the time because we're not as good?
Right.
So yeah, that's the best way I would break it down. And that's 6 years, and that's not including the fact that he already has the foundation of what he's doing. You know,
Right.
He's already learned how to write a joke. I mean, me and you both can agree. We're still just learning how to write a joke. You know, just getting an idea of something.
I mean, I do most of my stuff is improv. When I was writing jokes, it's like, it's why I stopped doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do a different form of writing now. I'm not writing jokes. Well, I'm writing jokes, but it's for short comedy skits, or
I like that.
We're like Norm and I wrote basically a pilot for an episode. We had to think of jokes and how characters relate. It's similar. Writing in general is similar, whether it be a joke or if you're writing a script or something like that. There's so much thought that goes into it. It's similar because you're painstakingly going over every word, every detail.
Yep.
It all matters because one word might. And the funny thing, and you'll probably can attest to this. You go to a club, you put a thing, and you go, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna try this word, and I'm gonna emphasize this part here, and then you go do that, and then that gets you the laugh, and you're like, okay, fuck. Same thing with a script that we try one thing, send it to somebody. They're like, we tried a different thing, send it to them again. Oh, that works better. Like, you got it's constant tweaking to make sure it's good.
So much. And the craziest thing about comedy, like you're saying, is you would be surprised how much one word makes a difference.
Oh, huge.
Like crazy surprise. It's something I don't know. I got a good example. Simple example. And you'd think it'd be common sense, but it's not. I have a joke where like sometimes I talk about having too big of a behind for a guy. I got my behind for my mom, and sometimes I do the joke and I say behind, and it's like ha, and then sometimes I do the joke I say I got my ass, and ass hits so much harder, and by hard I mean laughs to people.
Right.
Ass, the word ass compared to behind, which is funny. I think behind is a funnier word actually, but the word ass compared to behind in that set. It gets so much, like, at least twice as much laughter from the word ass. I go, I got my mom's behind. Ha. I got my mom's ass. Ha ha. And that's not the joke. That's just a segment. But that part gets a bigger laugh, and it's just one word.
Yep.
And it's the same words, the same idea.
Right.
Just probably ass is dirtier. Maybe not dirtier. Maybe just sounds funnier.
Yep.
But to your point, it does. Yeah. That's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah. I know. Well, man. I've really enjoyed this conversation. From the podcast here, this has been amazing. We got to wrap up here very shortly. I want to get to one last quick question before we hit the lightning round, and that is, St. James, what do you do when you're not doing comedy? What do you like to do for fun?
You mean like
what you do, man?
Well, today's a weird day. Today I've told myself, I went to see Star Wars, and I'm going to see Bad Boys 3 after this. But after today, I told myself I'm just going to only do comedy and stuff that makes me better at comedy. But in general, I like to play basketball. I like to play video games, preferably sports video games.
Sure, yeah. Same.
I like to smoke too much weed, a lot of weed.
It's legal now.
It's legal now. That's why I said it in the podcast. I'm not a big show guy, but I've been watching more TV. Really like movies. I really want to get back into music. I don't know if I have the time. I'm also really scared.
That's the thing, the time.
You
have to prioritize your time.
Exactly.
You were talking about reading books, and I'm like, oh, that's one thing I'm trying to add to my repertoire.
And if it makes you feel better, that's a very, very, very new thing. That's not I've been doing it. That's a very, very.
It's like a recurring nightmare for me. I see all these books I'm trying to read, and I get busy with other shit, and then I see the book, and I'm like, blast ye book! I wish to read you, but I just forget to do it. And you're right in front of me.
Oh,
the
for
conundrum.
Sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm really, this year, I think it might be potentially a big year for me. Not even in the sense of like buzz. Because when you, as a comedian, as an artist, you say big year, you think, you're about to drop something.
Drop a Netflix special.
Exactly. So you get exactly what I'm saying. So I think this year's gonna be really big for me when it comes to self-development.
Yeah. It gets you to those points.
Exactly. So I feel like this is gonna be the year where I'm just gonna live in the gym. I'm gonna try to read a lot. I'm not a big reader, so try to force myself out of that. Yeah. I'm gonna try to really work hard at comedy in a very strategic way, and I'm just gonna see what happens in the year. I'm not trying to get anything out this year. I'm just trying to get better at my life.
That was interesting. Norm's just randomly.
Also, gotta say this real
lights
quick.
off.
Norm is the perfect name for a camera guy off stage. I love. Hey, Norm, you get
Norm.
Norm is such a great name for
Norm
anything
is-
off camera.
Norm is the creative genius behind a lot.
I
of
believe
our
it. Norm's the
comedy
name
skit.
of a creative genius.
He is. I cannot say enough good things about Norm. Norm is amazing.
The name Norm is so dope. I just
Yes.
like the name Norm. I
It
like
is.
that shit.
It is a good name. But enough about Norm.
I'm sorry. I like to give shout
who
outs.
I love so much. But yeah. Okay. Well, St. James, we got it. We're close to the end here.
Mm-hmm.
We have to end this version of Couch Stories, and just like the podcast, this has been such a good conversation. It's like,
Oh, I appreciate
fuck
you.
time. I don't even care. Like, this is just so delightful, and you're such an amazing person to talk to. But we're gonna end this up with our favorite segment on Couch Stories, which is the lightning round.
You had so
I
much
wanted
fun.
to try that out. Okay. That's fuck. All right, so on the lightning round, I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of questions. Very fap, very fast, very rapid. Just give the first answer that comes to your mind. Some will be easier, some will might make you think, but just give the best answer you can. It's gonna be a lot of quick questions. Okay, you ready? All right, here we go. Question numero 1. Cubs or Sox?
Well, Cubs.
Cubs. Okay.
Yes, I mean,
No, not necessarily. No, I'm a fair weather fan, but okay, Cubs is cool. Yeah.
it has to be Cubs. My dad's a Cubs fan, so that's how I went, and I love the Cubs.
Gotcha. Cubs it is.
But it's weird because I spent most of my time on the west side, but I also kind of grew up a little time on the south side, and a lot of my jokes do have south side references. So people are like, how do you like the Sox? I'm like, does my dad like the Cubs? So I just went there and stuck it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so Cubs it is. Favorite sports team in Chicago in general?
Bulls.
Nice.
Even though they really are hurting my heart. It might be the Bears now. It's the Bulls.
It's
But
the Bulls.
It just hurts my heart to watch them.
Favorite stadium to go watch a sports game?
That's interesting. I really I've been to a few Bears games, and every Bears game I've been to has been really fun. But I also enjoy watching the Cubs. That's a hard one. You would think it'd be United Center. I don't, but it's not United Center for me.
This place is horrible to watch games at.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the
Horrific.
United Center. For me, I might have to say Wrigley Field.
Okay.
I like Soldier. I think if you get good seats to Wrigley Field, I just have a great time.
Yeah, Wrigley's good.
You? No.
Wrigley's fun.
Okay.
Wrigley's fun. Of all the places I've been, Wrigley is probably a really good fun. And,
Yeah.
and then you could just leave and go to a bar right after. It's a
Exactly.
good point. Okay. Italian beef or Chicago style hot dog?
For me personally, it's Italian beef. I love me a good beef. I love Chicago hot dogs. Don't get me wrong, but you can't beat a good beef.
Okay, Al's or Patillos?
I was an Owls guy for a while, but Patillos has got my heart in the last few years. Maybe because I live downtown, so it's just so much easier for me to get.
How do you eat your beef? Jardinera or sweet peppers? Or some other way?
So this is how I eat my beef. I kind of get myself ghetto. I get myself well dip. Give me some cheese on top, some sour cream, some cheese on the top and bottom. This is real good.
Oh,
Cheese on
damn.
top and bottom, sour cream
Damn.
with a hot pepper. I'm weird, and I like it dipped real well. I'm sorry, that's how I get myself down. It's real ghetto, but I'm telling you, it hit, bro. It smacked.
Oh shit.
I've never really been a fan of. I get sweet peppers. I'm not a big fan of it though. Just because I take a few bites and I just take it off and get to the beef.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. MJ or Ditka?
Oh, MJ.
Okay, I figured that would be a pretty easy one, but you know, figured. Okay. Moving to another question that I'm thinking off the top. Oh, favorite. What's your hood, man? What's your favorite hood to go hang out in the city? What's your neighborhood?
Favorite hood.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is gonna sound awful in the context, but maybe I can explain it real quick. Lincoln Park, but not because it's Lincoln Park and not Lincoln Park. I like hanging around my high school a little bit, For whatever reasons, I enjoy
nostalgia.
That. Probably that. I like to go to Oz Park. I also like North Avenue Beach a lot. Spend a lot of time there.
Well, that takes that question out. I was gonna ask what your favorite beach was, but we already got that.
North
Avenue.
I got an interesting answer for that, but I like North Avenue Beach. I like Oz Park and Lincoln Park, and I like walking around Lincoln Park because that is probably one of my favorite spots to be. I spent so much time there. I do a lot of comedy shows there. I went to high school there. Had a few jobs in Lincoln Park. And I also like Division Street. Interesting.
It's a good street.
I like Division a lot. I think that's the most off the top of my head. Yeah.
Got it. Chance or Kanye?
Kanye, easy. That was too easy.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I agree, but there you go. Okay, so let's get to this. North Avenue or Montrose Beach?
That was my interesting twist. So I like North Avenue more as a beach, but I've had a lot of good nights at Montrose Beach.
Yes.
It's definitely been my closer.
I feel like we met after the night where you were at Montrose. When you came to Sparrow that night when I was working. Were you at Montrose or North Avenue?
I don't even.
With that guy?
What was the night? How do you know I was at a beach?
That was the night we met, dude. You met some random guy came in, and you're just like, this is the guy I just met. He's cool. I'm like, awesome. And you're like, I do comedy. I'm like, dude, I do comedy. That's how we met.
Oh, we did meet.
Yeah, bro.
So this is crazy. You want to know how
Lightning
we really
round
met?
off the rails.
No, this is crazy. So, wow, that was you.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude.
So,
man.
I was this is why. So, lucky enough, I live kind of close to North Avenue Beach. I was having so what I like to do in the summers, on some, I don't know if this is RC or weird or just me, I like to sometimes just go to North Avenue Beach late at night and sit there and just look at the skyline. Not the best angle of the skyline, but it's a fun little time to de-wind, just walk over there, sit there for a second, talk to myself, maybe call somebody, talk to them over there.
Yeah,
so I was doing that. It was happened to be Lollapalooza weekend, or like the maybe the day after, but pretty much Lollapalooza. I tell you why I go to North Avenue Beach, and I'm biking there, and I'm getting off at my spot where I like to chill. And I just see a bunch of, I guess, I want to say, just a bunch of girls skinny dipping, butt ass naked, skinny dipping. So I'm like, cool. So I just walked over there, mind completely in the gutter, trying to see what could possibly happen.
Hey, you're a man. I get it. I would do the
so
same thing.
went over there, ended up talking to them, having a good. They ended up talking to me to skinny dip. I didn't do it. I went to my underwear and jumped in the beach, butt ass naked. I told my cousin about it. He said you should have jumped. You should have got ass naked with a hard dick and to see what happened. In retrospect, I kind of wish I did. Kind of wish I would. Cause they butt naked and they asked me to get butt naked. I should just pull out my dick and be like, hey, I'm not gonna do anything about it because I'm not a creep. But it is here. It's just here.
It's there. It's you do with it what you want to do with it. You can just stay here or you can whatever. Hey,
your nipples hard. Why can't my nipples? If your nipples are hard,
your prerogative. I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying if you come on me, there it is.
I mean, all I'm saying, we're in the beach. I'm pretty
your
sure.
Choice.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure sperm dies when it comes out. No worries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I end up doing that and end up leaving. I don't know what happened, but then just leaving for some reason. I come back I'm going home and I'm running to this weird guy. Nice guy. I'm friends with him on Instagram, but super weird. He was skinny dipping by himself. By himself. A bunch of women. Oh, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who it is. The guy with it. Yeah.
End up skinny dipping by himself.
Oh, gosh.
Bunch of women on the other side. To be fair, I'm pretty sure he didn't see him. But still just a weird context to be a lot of hot girls skinny dipping and a guy about a half a mile down just by himself skinny dipping. End up talking to him. For some reason, he was on drugs. But for some reason, I'm weird enough with him being on drugs and me being sober. Still up connecting completely with the guy. Sure. We end up walking around. He's telling me about his life and some shit. I was just having a good time. I think I didn't have nothing to do the next day. Sure. So we end up walking to your bar. He buys me some drinks. We end up talking. And I guess I tell you I'm a comedian. Yeah. But up until then, that night was a very wild night for me.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Very wild.
Yeah.
And what made it really funny is I only had that night because I had such a weird night, and I told myself I was not just going to go home and fall asleep. I was like, let me just force myself out of my comfort zone and end up having that type of night.
crazy. That's a
which
great
is
story.
very crazy because we're
Yeah.
here. Isn't that?
Yeah,
Isn't
I
that
know.
crazy?
And now we're here. Everybody started from the bottom. Now we're here. What's up?
Would you believe me if I told that story? I just was somehow ran into women, randomly skinny dipping, ran into this guy skinny dipping by himself, ended up becoming friends with this guy. I don't know if we're friends, but I had a good night with him that night, and still talk to him every now and then, and ended up meeting you.
Yep. Well, cheers to that and crazy random stories. All right, let's finish out this lightning round. Mm-hmm. I feel like I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Beach or Riverwalk?
What do you now?
Where you would prefer to hang out?
Easy beach, but okay. Would you ask me as a tourist? Because the tourist, I still might say the beach over the river, but I get the Riverwalk if you just just in Chicago. If you're just in Chicago for the first time, you gotta do the Riverwalk because it's so beautiful. But no, I'm not doing it. I live in Chicago.
Okay.
I'm going to the beach.
All right, Sears or Willis?
My God,
Ooh, you're thinking about it.
I don't know. I don't even really bring it up.
Oh, you're scaring me. What are you gonna say?
I really don't. Because it's such a.
I plead the fifth. I refuse to comment.
What's it called now?
Willis Tower.
I think I call it Sears Tower.
Yes. Okay. Good. Oh my God. Sears or John Hancock?
This is an indictment on me. I haven't been to the John Hancock.
Well, then Sears it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. You gotta go. Signature room. We'll go.
Okay.
We'll go. We'll get a group. We'll go. We'll take you.
I'm down.
All right. We'll plan it out after we're done. Okay. Let me get you a couple last questions. We're gonna do 2 more questions, and we're gonna finish lightning round. One place you would tell a tourist to Chicago to go. The number one spot they should go to.
That's hard. It depends on what they ask me. If they want the tourist event, I tell you go downtown, hit Michigan, then hit Portillo's. But if you want to have a real good time, go to Laugh Factory. After Laugh Factory, maybe hit Wrigleyville, have a good time. I would say go to Laugh Factory, see some good Chicago comedians. Then go to Wrigleyville, have a good time. You can't beat a nice little Cubs game. It's fun. Can't beat that. I think that's it. What food would I tell them to get? I'll tell them to go get Pequods. That's what I think I would tell them to do.
Nice.
I think that's good. The angles.
Is that your favorite deep dish place? Pequods?
Yeah, Pequods.
Okay, good. That got that question out of the way. All right, last question. Mm-hmm. We got to unfortunately wrap this up. I could talk to you for hours, but we got to wrap this up.
Time. No,
yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, here's the last question. One piece of advice you would give to somebody who's either moving to Chicago or coming to visit that you wish or you think that they should have coming here? We ask this this is the last question every time.
One piece of advice?
Yes, one piece of advice to somebody moving here or traveling here to visit that you would give them about this wonderful city of ours.
Man, that's a good question.
I'm full of good questions.
Well, if it's the summer, I would say one piece of if you're moving here, summer, I would say buy a bike. Because I say
that's
a
bike
new one
and a good one.
Yeah, a bike is one of the things in Chicago, especially during the summer. It's not a big investment, but it's an investment that can make you truly enjoy the city. Mm-hmm. You can get all the way around. You don't spend a lot of money. You can really sightsee. Because being an Uber, especially if you're not being an Uber, and I like taking Ubers. Who doesn't like taking Uber?
Right.
You don't get the real enjoyment because we're all human. So you're in an Uber, you look at your phone, you're kind of half paying attention. You're on a bike, you gotta pay attention. You have to see the beautiful infrastructure of Chicago. And then on top of that, you can go to the beach, you can go get some food, you can meet a lot of people, you can get your exercise in, and you just really get the enjoyment of Chicago. And I think you feel like a Chicagoan a little bit because a little bit of a roughness to it.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that'd be my advice.
That's a new one and a great one. Mm-hmm. Fucking rent a divvy bike and bike around. That's great.
I wouldn't even say rent a divvy. I would say buy a bike.
Buy a bike.
Yeah.
There you go. St. James. This was a great episode of Couch Stories, man. I really appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me.
This was great. This was really great. Now, before we end, please tell our wonderful viewers where they can go find you, how to follow you.
Follow me on Instagram at Life of St. James. I'm at the Laugh Factory. Well, I'm at the Laugh Factory a decent amount. I run a show at the Laugh Factory. That's twice a month. It's the second and last Friday of the month. Please come by. It's one of the biggest shows in Chicago. What we do is we put up comedians like myself who are like some of the best up-and-coming comedians who one day you will see on TV. I'm not saying I'm going to be on TV, but the comics we put up for sure would be on TV. So come support local comedy and just hang out after and have a drink potentially.
Wonderful. At Life of St. James, the Young Hustle Show. Go check it out, the Laugh Factory. We're going, I think, in February now. We'll be around in the second week. We're going to plan it out. We're coming. And if you liked listening to this and meeting wonderful people like St. James, follow us as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We have tons of new comedy videos coming out this year. Amazing, like just all kinds of new content coming out. Stuff like this, comedy videos. St. James might be featuring some comedy videos, so you don't want to miss that. It's going to be amazing stuff. If you're seeing this on Facebook from a YouTube that we put on there, then hit the follow and the like button on Facebook. If you're listening on iTunes, leave a 5-star review and subscribe, please. Thank you very much for that. It really helps us with the rankings. Spotify, same thing. Please subscribe. Leave us a review. We want to know if you're enjoying this content because we want to keep bringing you amazing content like this. Our Instagram is Chicago_60. That's with the numbers this time, 60. And very soon we'll have a Patreon account. So if you'd like to help us so that we can continue to make this content and bring you even more content for a lot of short films and stuff that we're going to be coming out with, then we'll tell you about that in future episodes. But once again, St. James, a pleasure. That was another episode of Couch Stories. Give it up for St. James. And also, I want to do a shout-out to Norm. He's been here the whole time taking photos and crushing it behind the booth. And he's an amazing person, amazing guy. And I really
Norm
appreciate
in the building.
That's right. So once again, thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.